Hello everyone, welcome to Redbus US channel. In this video, we will look at the official draft of the bill that will be released in Congress. This is the Biden administration's big immigration bill that is called as US Citizenship Act of 2021. And we'll look at the changes related to employment-based green cards, H-1Bs, H-4, L-1, all sorts of these, right? And we'll also look at what are the chances of this passing. So this is what we will look at in this video. Some of the background, and we'll look at the changes by each of the visa categories, and at the end we'll look at the chances of passing. So this is the version of the bill that was actually released to the public by the sponsored, by the sponsors of the bill. If it starts with an S, it's in Senate. HR means it's in the House, yeah. So as you can see, we highlighted it is to provide an earned path to citizenship, to address the root causes of migration and responsibly manage the southern border, and to reform the immigration visa system for other purposes. Yeah, this is what it reads. But bottom line, this is the bill. It's a big bill, that is will be introduced in both House and Senate. And that's what it is, right? We will look at those details. As part of background for this bill, in fact, on day one, Biden administration basically released a fact sheet on what they plan to do based on various aspects like path to citizenship. These are all the list of things. I'm not going to go over all of them. You can watch our other video that we cover on this. But the idea is these are all the laundry list of items that they promised during their presidential campaign, election campaign, and this is what they want to accomplish using this big bill. So while what was done in the past was just a fact sheet, and rather the bill was sent to the senators or the House reps to actually create an official bill. So this was just a guidance in the past. So what we are looking at today is actually the official bill text that is released for public review. Yeah. So this is the official title, US Citizenship Act of 2021. It's a big 353-page document. And in interest of our audience, what we will look at is basically the subtitle section D, reforming employment-based immigration and related changes. Yeah. So this is what we'll focus. So it's a pretty big bill. And in fact, we are still reviewing the details. So if there are some mistakes, we'll do corrections. But in a first impression, this is what we'll look at. Yeah. So we'll focus on primarily these aspects. So firstly, the employment-based immigration, employment-based green card related aspects, right? So the biggest one is changing the annual limit from 140,000 to 170,000. So basically adding 30,000 more per year. So the second biggest one is removing per country caps. So this is what last a couple of years we had HR 1044 and S386 bills that were actually tried very hard to remove the per country caps, which eventually died last year in the House because of all the provisions that were added with poison pills. So this bill that is currently in draft has provisions to remove the per country caps, which is a very big deal. And also they changed the green cards allocation percentages based on the new quota limit, 170K. So for EB1, they reduced it 28.6% to 23.5, which comes to 40,035. Essentially did not change the numbers for EB1 because in the past there were 40,040 allocated for this category. Now it's actually 5 green cards less, not much than that. Because of the increase in green card numbers for employment-based category, you don't see a big change even though the percentages are altered. Yeah. For EB2, it's the same thing. They reduced from 28.6 to 23.5, and also it has come down to similar number, 40,035. For EB3 is a big change. They increased it from 28.6 to 41.2. Technically, 40,000 to 70,000. It's a big 30,000 jump. Of course, you have to realize this also includes a lot of other aspects. We will cover that. So this is a big change where they see adding more green cards in the EB3 category. On the other lines, what they have is changes in unskilled limit. They've increased from 10,000 to 40,000 per year. So that is the other changes that they have. For EB4, it's actually changed from 7.1 to 5.8. So this is for the religious workers and all other aspects that we had, and that one is actually doesn't change much. It's 9,945. Similar to last year's 9,940. For EB5 investor visa, similar to EB4, they reduced it, but then essentially numbers did not change. So these are the changes in allocations. There is also a provision for labor market adjustments, and what this tells is, DHS can work with US Department Department of Labor and temporarily limit the issuance of green cards in EB2 and EB3 in certain areas where there are higher employment areas. The other aspect is regional economic development visa programs. So this one you have in countries like Australia, where they have this RECs concept, regional development centers. So as per that, all it tells is the DHS can work with DOL and actually run a pilot program to have 10,000 employment-based green cards for this. This will be issued by the Development of Cities and Counties. There will be the same process for labor certification and all of these, and this program cannot exceed for 5 years. So that's what they've given. So we'll have to see what comes out of this. Now, what they've done is they also have some provisions for addressing the backlog all of these. So the first one is recapturing lost green card numbers. As many of these numbers do not get used up if USCIS or DHS does not process them on time. So since 1992 to 2020, there are about 225,000 unused green cards as per CAT Institute, David Beer. Yeah. So he basically did this estimation. So as you can see, there's a big number that has been unused. So this could be recaptured, now because they were not used in these years. Yeah. So this also will be applicable to other aspects as well. So this is going to have a huge impact on other overall numbers as well. So also, if you're looking at the other big change is if you have been waiting in green card line with a priority date for over 10 years, right, in the line for 10 years, then, your priority date does not matter. You can file for adjustment of status. So this is to avoid the long processing times and wait times. So this is a very, very big one. I mean, I don't know how many, it's going to have a huge impact on the way the numbers move. So we'll have to see how far this will be, really successful. But that's what it says, so there is no waiting time after you waited for 10 years in line. That's what it says. And this is applicable for both family-based and employment-based categories. So it's kind of like I would say a big deal, if this goes through. Yeah. Now looking at H1B, there is a very, very, very small clause that says, which you already know, some of you, that there were plans to launch H1B wage-based lottery system, selection to be based on wage levels. So which was actually, delayed until end of this year. So there is just a clause that talks about this, the DHS can, issue a regulation to prioritize based on wages. They don't give any specifics other than this part. So we'll have to wait and see, because one of the issues that they faced, DHS was, this is not in the statute or in by Congress. So that's why there was some litigation. So that's why they want to address this part. Yeah. And the second one for H4 visa holders is work authorization. Traditionally, H4 visa holders do not get work authorization. There is no EAD for general H4 holders. There are exceptions to get H4 EAD only if you're part of green card process and you had approved I-140 and certain clauses in there. But now if this goes through, then H4 dependents, both spouse and child, are eligible for EAD and can work in the US. So also they have provisions for aging out, to prevent age out of the children waiting in green card. And what they say is they'll consider the age of the children on the day when the immigrant petition was filed, or the Department of Labor's labor certification was filed. Essentially the priority date, right? So so the day on which the application was filed, rather than the way it works today. So this is also a very, very big one for H4 age out situation, especially for kids. Now related to F1, there are pretty big changes here. So if you have a PhD in STEM, STEM is nothing but science, technology, engineering, and mathematics from an accredited US university, you're not subject to any of the numerical limits. Yeah. So this is a very, very big one. So this is also very, 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 very important one for any of the PhDs who graduate in some of these with STEM category degrees. Also, they removed the non-immigrant intent for F1 visa applicants. Now it's a dual intent. So dual intent is where, let's say H1B visa holders are dual intent. Means you can come to US and settle down here and get a green card. So visa officer cannot reject, saying that this person has immigrant intent to settle down. So for F1 visa holders, in fact, traditionally it is a non-immigrant intent. Now they are going to remove that and add dual intent with this change. So the other big one, this is probably the biggest one for F1 students, is if you are an OPT and if you have a green card process, going on, and similar to how it works for H1B visas today, if you have a pending, labor certification for more than a year with the Department of Labor, or a pending I-140 or an approved I-140, then they will continue to issue F1 visa extensions. So we'll have to see how this all works out. They say that EAD also will be given to such F1 visa holders so that they can continue to work until a decision is made on their green card. and they will be incremented in increments of 1 year until you can file a green card, basically adjustment of status. So this is similar to how it works for H1B visa holders. So if this actually goes through, then F1 students do not have to worry about all these H1B lottery scenarios and all of these things. So it's going to be a big relief, and you can technically work on OPT for until you get your green card. So it's going to be interesting how this will pan out. Now, in terms of L1 visa holders, they added a similar clause for like F1 visa students, similar to F1 students on OPT. Similar to that, L1 visa holders had a cap of 5 to 7 years, right? I mean, like they need to leave the country and all, or they go to H1B. Now they are planning to extend that L1. If they have a pending green card, 365 degrees, similar to F1, right? I mean, don't have to go into the details. They'll continue to give L1 extension. So this is also a big one for large corporate companies. So they changed the term called alien that you see all over, now replaced with non-citizen across the board, which signifies not a citizen of US. So the increased diversity visa lottery from 55K to 80K. There are a lot of clauses on path to citizenship for dreamers and other changes around that. Which is a big portion of the bill. Change the per country limits for family based from 7 to 20%. So there are a ton of provisions for other visa categories and border security and enforcement. So in interest of our audience, we won't really go into those details in this video. So we'll probably try to see if we can make another video on that. So what is the next step, right? So this is the $1 million question, I guess, right? So then if you see, this is just the first step. We have a long process ahead in the House and Senate, as you can see on the screen, it has to go through committees, subcommittees, hearings, voting. It has to come on the calendar. There is a debate. There is voting again, so the same process happens in Senate as well. So it's a big, and they have to be passed in the same form in both the places. And then if not, a conference committee comes in and then president signs. So all of this to happen, it takes a while. So we are in the very, very beginning stages. We don't even have an official bill number yet. I checked earlier today. So far nothing. So we still have a long way to go. And so if you look at the chances, right, this is a big wish list by Biden administration, I would say, of a laundry list of all the items that they had in their election campaign. So it's going to be very, very difficult to pass it as it looks today. I'll tell you the reason, right? If you look at a simple bill like HR 1044 to remove per country caps, it was 7 pages and it went to 36 pages after it passed in Senate with 29 pages amendments. Also, there were some poison pills added in that, right? Now, imagine this is a 353 page bill with a lot of items in there. And, it's going to be very, very difficult, to pass it in the same form because there will be someone or other objecting in Senate because Democrats do not have the 60 votes, to pass it as it looks today, even though they have support. So a lot of things will change will have to change rather, I would say, because of the way the bill is today. So many of the things you see in the draft may or may not be the final bill. So don't get too excited by looking at all the things that you just listened or what you saw. So some of these things may not make it. There will be very many revisions in the upcoming weeks and months, or in the next 1 year or so. So we'll have to wait and see how this will pan out. So we'll continue to keep you all posted with updates. Definitely do subscribe to our channel for getting regular updates. Thank you for watching and hope it was helpful.